Hi guys, and welcome back to another Dot Race video, and today we're going to be playing MotoGP 21, round 13 of our MotoGP World Championship, and it's time for Silverstone right here in the BritishGP. So here we go then on board the Aprilia RSGP. You know the score by now. It is now round 13 as Valentino Rossi just crashed at the start of this session. So actually this has been perfect timing in the sense of our career mode, because Silverstone is happening right now in the real life in MotoGP. Well, it's probably just finished actually at the point of watching this practice video. And of course the Grand Prix for the real Grand Prix would have already finished as well, so we'll just be doing the practice and the Grand Prix from after the race, but I'm actually recording this before the race, so I guess we can discuss the results in the comments section down below. But for the time being, going into Stowe for turn 7 and having a nice tight apex there going into the right-hander of the somewhat difficult corner. It can be quite easy to get that wrong sometimes. We go hard on the brakes for Vale for turn 8, and then we'll get it onto the right-hand side to slip it in to turn 9, and then flick it onto the right-hand side once more for turn 10 for the club corner. Fun fact, I was actually standing there a couple of years ago, and the race got cancelled. So unbelievably, I was standing there in the pouring rain for God knows how long, and the race got cancelled. It was most annoying, let me be honest with you, because I was super excited to see the Grand Prix, and I waited there for hours on hours and hours, and then eventually we were notified that the race was not going ahead. Of course, Tito Rabat had a bad crash just after the hanger straight, and therefore the race was cancelled due to the horrific nature of the track, because it was so wet. It was like torrential rain pouring down on the circuit, and this was before it had the resurfaced tarmac, which of course has made a massive difference to the actual grip levels here in Silverstone. And I think for the time being we are not finding the benefits. As far as my story goes, that will have to be postponed, because at the minute we're still 1.5 plus seconds down to Pecco Bagnaia, who sets the fast lap of the practice session so far with a 1:57.535. Concerning stuff for Matt Grant right now, the man in second place in the World Championship, the man who, coming from a victory last time out in the Red Bull Ring, is currently in last position in this practice session. So we really have to dig down deep and get out of this practice session with a little bit more momentum, because right now it's not looking promising, let me be honest with you. Now I do believe this particular corner here for turn 5 and 6 has been revised somewhat, and I must say in the game I'm not a fan. I prefer the other layout where it's a little bit tighter in, but now it seems to be a bit wider, so you have to go really wide coming out of the exit there, and then get it nice and tight going into the corner and up the hanger straight. We're into the Stowe now for turn 7, nice and tight to the apex. Watch out for that few little bumps you get every now and again going into that corner, but we're on a decent lap here. We will improve as we'll get a second split time coming up any moment now. Will give us an indication after turn 9 where we are going to be looking, and the timing screen says we are going to be down by how much? How much is it going to be? 4.5 tenths of a second. Yes, we can live with that. The 1.6 seconds we certainly can't live with, because we cannot start from the back of the grid in my home GP. That would just be absolutely bloody awful. We cannot afford to do that right now. So hard on the brakes, we go into Village for the right-hander, and then we'll go into the left-hander in just a moment. This is where I ruined my race back in the Moto 3 days. I had a little bit of a wheelie going into the loop. I do recall this very, very well. My cat jumped up and touched the cable on my controller and pulled me wide. It was the most bizarre situation, but unfortunately that's what happened. And unfortunately as well, we just actually invalidated the lap just a moment ago as we now go wide into Brooklands. This is not looking too promising for the Moto2 World Champion, is it? Also, just a quick one, my apologies for my voice in this one. For some reason I've had some sort of like groggy feeling all day, and my voice sounds like utter garbage right now. But I'm trying my best to make sure the commentary is still sounding interesting and entertaining, but I don't know why my voice is like this today. It's most frustrating, I'll be honest with you. As we now go into turn 1 on the right-hand side of the tyre, of course, a mistake on that previous lap rendered the lap invalid, so I have changed over to the soft option combination from the front soft to the rear soft now, and not my favoured combination. However, you've got to try these things when you're last place, and when you're down and a 1:59.165 is your best lap, when Pecco Bagnaia is on a 1:57.535, you better believe something's afoot, and we need to improve upon this, because we cannot be starting another Grand Prix from back of the rows or the back of the grid or anywhere near the back couple of rows, because it's just getting so difficult for me to carve through the pack and get into a decent position. And of course we are losing points to Johan Zarco when this happens, because he usually has a great race and we're sitting in 4th and 5th position when the absolute maximum has been expelled from ourselves, and that is the best we can offer for that particular Grand Prix. But for the time being, this Grand Prix is looking like it's going to be very tough if we cannot improve on the 159 and 165. At the very least, we need to be in the middle 158s or potentially the low 158s by the end of this qualifying session, or excuse me, practice session and qualifying video. So going into the right hand now for Village, and then to the left for the loop, a nice and tight apex here as we bring on the power. I must confess, I can't wait for this racing line to disappear because I find it incredibly annoying. I also find it a bit off-putting as well. I tend to get focus on that one when I'm not supposed to be. This is only part of the development test, so the idea of course is to follow that line as much as you can to try and improve your sort of accuracy for the track. It's not a favourite of mine, I'll be quite honest with you. So once this one's completed, I certainly won't be tackling it again. But going into the final couple of corners, Luffield has been tackled very nicely. Now onto the right hand side for Woodcut, very close to the apex there. If we go into the rumble strip, we have improved by pretty much nothing. The practice session is over, and Pecco Bagnaia is the fastest man on track with Jorge Martin and Miguel Oliveira on the front row. But I tell you what, we are at the back of the grid right now, and we need a bloody miracle going into the qualifying session to even get us close to the second qualifying session. So conditions have changed here in the BritishGP, and all the Aprilias are in the qualifying 1 session, so it's not just me who seems to be struggling, but for the time being we have to produce a miracle to go into qualifying 2. However, I am hopeful that because the conditions have changed somewhat and it's a little bit cooler without that racing line, we might have a chance of just having a little bit more oomph and a little bit more gumption with the tyres. I do find when the track is hotter, I do tend to struggle with the grip and the sense of longevity with the tyres, so hopefully we can get into some sort of rhythm and start pushing our Aprilia as much as possible to try and get ourselves into that second qualifying session. At the very least, I think the qualifying 2 is going to be out of reach, but if we can qualify roughly around the 5th row, it would be a big improvement compared to where we are right now, because dead last would be an absolute nightmare and a disaster for not only myself but the British fans and all of the aces as well. So you need to dig deep here, take a big breath, and just tackle Silverstone the way we usually do, and that is extremely well. We won here last season in Moto2 in an absolutely incredible finish, beating Remy Gardner like Lorenzo beat Marquez in 2013. We were very, very close to losing that battle, but we came out on top. Can we spit into the face of adversity once again and prove to the people that we can do it on board the Aprilia? 3 victories to our name this season. Will we come back from a ridiculous qualifying position to take the 4th one? That would be a dream come true from this nightmarish session we're having right now. So the free practice wasn't rosy, but this one's not looking too bad. Half a second down to Marc Marquez's time of a 1:58.494, so that will be our very first 1:58 lap of the weekend, which is a little bit concerning because we're in qualifying. It's taken us a long time to get into the 1:58, but it's still an improvement no matter which way you look at it. So we're still using the same particular settings: TCS 3, anti-wheelie 4, engine brake 4, power setting on 3, the smooth acceleration, the throttle control. We're going into Woodcut for the right-hander. 18 been navigated to 1:58.891, good enough for second position right now in this qualifying 1 session. Of course, being 4/10 of a second down to Marc Marquez is certainly nothing to get too excited about, but at the same time, 4/10, give or take a few more laps, is not going to be too bad. But of course, Valentino Rossi on an orange sector there, he's ready to continue his charge for the qualifying 2 session. Of course, Rossi at this point in real life has already got into qualifying 2 via the way of free practice. It was a great job from Valentino, and I'm hoping, speaking from the past, talking about the future, I hope Rossi did well in the Silverstone GP today, and if something bad happened, console me in the chat. But if he didn't and he did well, let me know, and let's chat about it in the comments section down below. But going into Vale, we should have a good chance of holding a nice line in there, and of course, just going into the next corner in a moment's time for Club Corner. As we get in there, we'll get an indication of what lap time we're going to be doing. So at the end of the 3rd split, it's going to be 44,000th of a second down to Marc Marquez's time, but I am seeing some red sectors there coming in from Marquez and Valentino Rossi. Don't discount Pol Espargaro, the pole man in the real Silverstone race at this point as well. We're going into the right-hander of Village. I love this combination of track. Going into Village is awesome, and then chugging into the left-hand side for the loop for the 14th corner here in Silverstone. Bring on the power ever so slightly, then just chuck it in onto the left. We are up. We have a red sector for the very first time in a qualifying session since Red Bull Ring of Austria. This is very, very tasty. Can we go hard on the brakes going into Brooklyn? The nice tight apex is what I prefer. Please don't run out of fuel like we did in Red Bull Ring, because that was bloody embarrassing. Going a little bit out of shape into left field, that has cost us dramatically. That has cost us a lot of time. 2 tenths of a second, 3 tenths of a second. It's cost us even more than that. Bastianini got ahead of us, and we are no longer going to be improving to that wonderful lap that it would have been, but across the line, still down by a second. Ouch. With this lap time being a sub 2 minutes, it is a long, long lap, and you better believe now it leaves us in a situation where we'll only have 2 more attempts of getting through into qualifying 2, and not only just that, qualifying a little bit better than where we are right now. We are 1.1 seconds down to Maverick Vinales' time of a 1:57.575. This is extremely concerning right now, coming in for the way of the Moto2 World Champion. Don't forget, we are still a World Champion, and we are still a rookie, but this is embarrassing. This is probably going to be the worst qualifying since Qatar. Very concerning stuff for the Noale factory right now, as 3 of their guys are down in this first qualifying session. Aleix Espargaro is the only man who's giving us some sort of hope for this Noale factory, but we've run it wide into turn 9. This is write this one off. This has been an awful job. I'm not sure why I'm struggling so much, to be quite honest with you. It feels like I'm going pretty fast. It feels like I'm doing everything right, but we are just losing a tremendous amount of time in every single corner, in every single sector. I cannot run this pace of a 1:57 or anything. We can't even run a 1:58 low. This is just a supersonic fast pace that we cannot deal with. Queen said it best, he's going to make a supersonic man out of you. We're going to try and need a supersonic bloody lap to get ourselves into a better position than where we are right now. Danilo Petrucci's behind us. Hopefully he can get ahead of us and we can use this slipstream. So go on, Danilo. I'm asking for your help. I need you, Danilo. Let me follow you. Let me get a tow, because I desperately need it. I'm in a situation now where we're going to probably qualify in the last row of my grid here in my home GP. So help us out, Danilo. Come on, be a good sport. And he's like, oh, forget it. Forget it then, Danilo. We're through. Forget it, mate. That's it. It's over. We're going to start nowhere near. I can't believe this. But guys, that is it. And I've just seen something. Oh my goodness, it's even worse. Valentino Rossi was behind us. He was the only man behind us at the end of this qualifying session, and he's now in second place. That means we'll be starting my own BritishGP, my home track, from last position. So guys, always hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, like, comment and subscribe, and hit the notification bell to be alerted to every single Dot Race upload. But tonight I'll see you at 8 PM for the Grand Prix. Thanks for watching, guys, and ciao for now. Oh hi, didn't quite see you there. Good to see you're still here. If this video didn't quite set your appetite, then why not watch some more Dot Race content by clicking the video shown on screen now. Furthermore, if you would like to follow me on social media, you can do so now with the links down in the description. Consider subscribing so you don't miss a single Dot Race video.